Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the next session of your fluid mechanics, and today we are discussing the objectives of the fluid statics. As we know, these are the three objectives which we have already covered in the previous video. Today we will be discussing the different kinds of manometers, and the further objectives will be discussed in your next videos. First of all, the definition of a pressure. Certainly, you know that the pressure is basically a normal force which is exerted by the fluid element per unit area. So, if we will take into consideration the scale of a pressure, this red line is basically known as absolute vacuum. So, the absolute vacuum is the state of zero pressure, which means the pressure intensity which will be measured at complete vacuum. So at that point the pressure will be zero. The absolute vacuum will exist. So now if we will move in a positive direction towards this side, certainly there will be some pressure and it is certainly more than zero, or it is uh, it will have some magnitude. Suppose we are measuring the pressure over here at suppose point 1. The pressure will be there, and the pressure at point 1 will be basically the difference in pressure at this point minus the pressure at this point, which was zero. So this pressure, the difference between these 2 points, these two references, will be called as the absolute pressure. So absolute pressure measured with reference to the absolute vacuum is called as the absolute pressure. It is the actual pressure at a particular point. So the pressure which will be at this particular point will be called as the absolute pressure, and is certainly measured with reference to this absolute vacuum reference. So we have another reference. We call it as an atmospheric pressure. Basically, this is that reference. And at atmospheric level, the pressure is certainly more than the absolute vacuum. So that's why uh, it will have some magnitude, and certainly the pressure which is existing on the atmosphere has some value, and it is 101.325 kilopascals. So the pressure which is being exerted by the air surrounding the Earth's surface is called as the atmospheric pressure, and simply we denote that atmospheric pressure by P ATM. Now, suppose we have to measure the pressure with respect to atmospheric pressure, how we will measure that, and if we have to measure the pressure with respect to the absolute vacuum, how we will measure that. First of all, with regard to your absolute vacuum, if we want to measure the pressure will be the absolute pressure. Suppose since I told you that we have this point and we want to measure the pressure over here, that pressure difference between this point and this level is certainly your absolute pressure. And also suppose we have taken another point over here, we call it as point 2, and if the pressure is there, and if we want to measure the pressure between this point 2 and it is with respect to your absolute vacuum, again it will be called as absolute pressure. Suppose there is another line over here, and suppose it is 3, and if we want to measure the pressure over here, so the pressure over here will also be called as the absolute pressure. So any pressure which will be more than the absolute vacuum, and if it is measured with respect to this reference level, absolute vacuum reference level, that pressure will be called as the absolute pressure. Secondly, if we talk about your atmospheric pressure, if we want to measure the pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure, so if the pressure at a point is, suppose again it is the same level and we have taken that as a 1, if the pressure over here is more than atmospheric pressure, so certainly the difference between the pressure at this point and with reference and with respect to this level, if the difference is positive, this difference is positive, we will call it as a gauge pressure. So difference between the absolute pressure and vacuum pressure, when absolute pressure is more than atmospheric pressure, is called as the gauge pressure, and gauge pressure is equals to P absolute minus P atmospheric. Okay, And for a specific case, if we are taking this as a point 1, we can write it as P1 minus this P atmospheric. Okay, so this will be your gauge pressure. Now, if the pressure at a point is less than the atmospheric pressure, and this is certainly that case at point 2, so the difference between and we are measuring the pressure with respect to atmospheric pressure, and we know that this atmospheric pressure is more than this pressure at this point 2. So P2 minus P atmospheric pressure will be negative. So certainly that pressure will be called as the vacuum pressure. So the vacuum PVAC will be given by P atmospheric minus the pressure at that particular point. Okay, so this will be given likewise. So if the pressure at a point is less than the atmospheric pressure, then the difference between absolute pressure and atmospheric pressure is known as the vacuum. Okay, so this basically this was what? This was a scale of the pressure. Scale of pressure measurement. Okay, so this was the scale of the pressure measurement. So to sum up with that, we have two reference levels. One is absolute vacuum, the pressure will be 0 at that point. Okay, P will be equals to 0, and we have another reference level called as the atmospheric pressure level. We will have the value of 101.325 kilopascals. So there are two reference levels basically which we use. Okay, now these are basically the units of pressure. We have different units of pressure, that is Newton per meter square, or it is also called as the pascals or bar, and we have also kgf per centimeter square, and certainly we can convert these units into other units. 1 Newton per meter square is equals to 1 pascal. So 1 atmospheric pressure, as I told you, will be equals to 101 325 pascals, and certainly in kilopascals we can write it likewise this. So we have other conversions also over here for the pressure. Now, yes, the most important thing is that, so if we have a pressure measuring device, suppose we are measuring some pressure, and on the gauge what you can see, if you are measuring it experimentally, you can see that the pressure is 0. So actually the pressure is not 0. The your instrument is calibrated to the atmospheric pressures, and it basically the existing pressure over there is atmospheric pressure, but the instrument is calibrated to 0 pressure, so that you can measure the gauge pressure, or you can measure the gauge pressure with respect to your atmospheric pressure. So suppose if let me tell you, if you have, you will assume this as atmospheric pressure as 0. So whatever the value that will come on that gauge, suppose the value is coming as 3 pascals, so certainly the gauge pressure is basically 3 pascals in on that particular pressure measuring device. So the most important part of the pressure measurement is your manometers. These are the devices which are used to measure the difference in pressure, and basically these are one of the pressure measuring devices. We have different types of pressure measuring devices, but we will be discussing the manometers here only. So basically these are the devices which are used to measure the pressure of a fluid. These devices basically consist of a U-tube shaped tube, which is one end of the which is connected to the pipe whose pressure is to be measured, or the other end is basically open to the atmosphere. So it can be okay. So generally the pressure difference is measured using two immiscible liquids of different densities. Basically we use two different types of liquids which are immiscible and having this different densities. So these two liquids are used to measure the pressure difference, and basically it works on the balancing of your liquid column. So if we have a U-tube likewise this, and we will try to balance the uh, liquid columns in two different tubes. Certainly when both the ends are open to atmosphere, the level of the liquid remains same. In this limb, and in this limb the level of the liquid will remain same when the pressure be since the equal amount of pressure is being exerted, that is your atmospheric pressure on both the tubes, because these tubes will be likewise this. Let me make it very clear. Okay, so if we have a liquid over there, so same by maintaining the level, the level will remain same if we have the same density fluid, and as and the most important thing is that these both are open to the atmosphere, and certainly the atmospheric pressure will exist, and the level will be balanced. But if some pressure will be more over here, if we are applying some more pressure and this one is closed and it is connected to a pipe and we are applying some more pressure, so there the liquid column in these two tubes will certainly not be balanced. So we will try to work out the different pressures that exist on that, and we try to calculate the difference in pressure by using that principle. So for large pressure differences, the manometric fluid with higher density is used. Basically, what a manometric fluid is, I'll tell you. So manometric fluid with higher density is used. An example is mercury. It has some specific gravity, that is your 13.6. And for small pressure differences, we use a manometric fluid which has a less density. And the most common example is your kerosene. We can have another fluids also which have the less density. So for small gauge pressures, also we use piezometric tubes, and for moderate to large pressure measurements, we use manometers, as I was discussing the manometers over here. Okay, if the fluid with a larger density is called as the manometric fluid. So there will be two fluids in your manometer, and the fluid which will having the more density will be called as your manometric fluid. So another most important aspect is that the diameter of the tube has no effect on the height of the liquid column. In the cases, except in the cases where we have a very small diameter, and certainly the capillary effect may be predominant, and this capillary effect may lead to an increase in the height of the liquid level in your manometers. So basically, when the diameter of the tube is certainly very small, the capillary effect will come into play and it will cause an error in the pressure measurement. But if the diameters are substantially large, it will have no effect on the measurement of the pressure. So basically, what a manometer is, how we will analyze those manometers, that we will be discussing in this next. So the pressure measurement using a U-tube manometer. The principle of the pressure measurement in a horizontal plane will be used, in which the fluid at rest will have the same pressure in a same plane. So we have the manometer over here. It is a simple U-tube manometer, the one end of which is connected to your pipe which has some pressure P1, and W is your specific weight of that fluid, and fluid A is we have fluid as A, we can designate it as A. There will be another fluid which will be used. Minimum two fluids will be there in case of a manometer. So this fluid is called as a manometric fluid, and it will certainly have the more density, or it will be heavier than this fluid. So that's why it will settle at the bottom. Okay, the other end will be open to the of the tube will be open to the atmosphere. Okay, so accordingly, the pressure in the xy plane, pressure over here will be same, and we will try to work out the pressures which will be acting on this part, and certainly that the pressure acting over here will be equals to the pressure which will be acting over here, uh, by virtue of the fluid, the pressure which will be acting on this limb, we will try to equate that. So we are trying to measure the gauge pressures over here. Why I'm talking about that we are measuring the gauge pressure means the pressure which will be more than the atmospheric pressure. The configuration over here is there. So how the gauge pressure, why I'm talking that we are measuring the gauge pressure, let us see. We'll try to first try to analyze this manometer, and certainly the pressure which is acting over here, we have written it likewise this P1, the pressure which is acting over here plus the pressure due to this liquid column. This liquid column will also have some pressure. So that pressure will be by using the formula rho g h. That pressure will be equals to rho g into L2 because L2 is the length of or you can say height of this tube. Rho A rho A is the density of the fluid A and rho A multiplied by G is basically your specific weight that we have written over here. So we have only P1 and the pressure due to this fluid uh, length, okay, length of the column that will cause the pressure over here. So we have only two components and these two will be equated with what? With the pressure over here and the pressure over here. So on the other side we have the atmospheric pressure which is exerted on that, and plus since it is the same fluid we can consider that L1 as L1 plus L2 as the length of the fluid. So again the fluid in this the pressure due to this liquid column will be given by rho g h, same formula we will use, and rho m basically is the density of the manometric fluid multiplied by g multiplied by L1 plus L2. Simply we will try to work out the gauge pressure. So P1 minus P atmospheric will be equals to rho mg L1 plus L2 minus rho ag L2, and we have this equation and we can write P1 minus P atmospheric as your gauge pressure. Okay, so gauge pressure will be given by this equation. So in this case, in this type of a manometer, whatever the values will be given to us, we will try to put those values and we can find out the unknowns, and certainly the unknown in this case will be your pressure. So we have another configuration in which we will try to measure the vacuum pressure. So certainly the vacuum, if we are trying to measure, it will have this kind of a configuration, and certainly we will again try to balance the pressure in on both the sides of the limbs. So XY plane will be there again, and the pressure above this level will be equals to the pressure above this level. Okay, so we have P1 pressure and we have the pressure due to this purple color fluid length of the column, that is due to L1, and certainly the pressure over due to this L2. So P1 plus rho Ag L1 plus rho Mg L2 is equals to atmospheric pressure, because the pressure on the other side is only the atmospheric pressure. So again, since we are trying to measure the vacuum pressure, so but in that case the pressure at point P1 will be less than the atmospheric pressure. So P atmospheric minus P1 will be given by rho A GL1 plus rho M GL2, and again by putting the appropriate number of values we can get the vacuum pressure. So how you can say that this will be a configuration for your gauge pressure and this will be a configuration for your vacuum pressure? See, whenever the atmospheric pressure, we know that whenever the atmospheric pressure will be less than the uh, absolute pressure, suppose we have P1 over here, so in that it certainly means that the pressure will be gauge pressure, because absolute pressure minus atmospheric pressure will give you a positive value, and the positive value is denoted by gauge pressure. So if it will be positive, P1 minus P atmospheric will be positive, which means P1 is greater than P atmospheric, which certainly means that it is applying some pressure and it is trying to push this liquid level to the other side. So this will be case of a gauge pressure. On the other hand, if the atmospheric pressure is more than the P1, and certainly if atmospheric pressure is more than the absolute pressure, it is the case of a vacuum. So in that case, if it will be more than that, P atom will be more than P1. So P atmospheric is more, so it will try to put some pressure on this liquid column, and it will try to apply some pressure, exert some pressure towards that side. So in that case this kind of a configuration will come. So we can analyze what kind of a configuration should be there if if we are measuring the gauge pressure and if we are measuring. So moving on to the next slide, we'll be using another type of manometer. We call it as a differential manometer, and certainly the differential manometers are used to measure the pressure difference between points. In the previous case, one end was open to the atmosphere. Suppose that end is not open to atmosphere, we have to measure the pressure at that point also. So how we will measure the pressure? That will be measured by using the differential manometer. So the examples of this differential manometers are basically to measure the pressure between two containers, between 2 points in a pipe, or we can measure the pressure between the two different pipes. We will certainly, what we will do is we will install this YouTube manometer in those locations where the pressure difference is to be measured. So let us see. We have, in that case, we have the upright configuration first, and in case of a upright configuration, your specific gravity of the manometric fluid is greater than the fluid of a pipe or a container. So this is basically the example of your upright configuration. In that case, we have this purple color fluid as the manometric fluid, and certainly the specific gravity, or you can say it is more denser in comparison to the both the fluids. So we have the manometer which is connected to the two pipes, pipe A and pipe B, carrying fluid A and fluid B. So let us suppose that this the pipe is at some L1 and the pipe 2 is at some L2 from this reference level, that is your X5, where the liquid column is balanced, and certainly the pressure at this plane will be same in both the limbs. Okay, so we'll again try to use the principle which we have used in the earlier slides. So under equilibrium conditions, the pressure P1 over here will be equals to the pressure due to this liquid column, and so it is certainly rho A multiplied by G multiplied by L1, and it will be equals to P2, the pressure over here at this point, and the pressure due to column, this column, and the pressure due to this column. So we'll have three terms over here: one, two, three. In this case, we have only one, and another is two. Only have two terms over here. So P2 plus rho B. Rho B is the density of the fluid P. G multiplied by L2 minus L1, because we are interested in this length only, plus rho mg into Lm. So if we will basically rearrange this equation, P1 minus P2 means difference between the pressure between in these two pipes will be given by this formula, and it will be rho Pg L2 minus Lm plus this term. Okay, now we can have a special case wherein the both the pipes may be at the same level. So in that case, L1 will be equals to L2, and we can appropriately put those values in this equation, and we can get the simplified equation. Okay, and it can also be a case that we have the same pipe, or we have the two different pipes, but the fluid in both the cases have is the same one. So if the fluid will be same, it certainly means that the specific weight of the fluid will be same, that is rho A will be equals to rho B, and if I'm talking about rho A equals to rho B, it certainly means that the density of the fluid will also be same, and rho A will be equals to rho B if we have the same fluid. But in that case, I have shown two different fluids. So with the above equation will again be simplified one, and we can put those values over here, and we can analyze and we can calculate the difference in pressure between the two points, or between the two pipes, or between the two containers. Okay. Further, if we want to express the pressure in terms of the head, basically, we always express the pressure in terms of head, or difference in pressure in terms of head, HEAD head. Okay, so how we basically simplify that equation? P is equals to rho GH, rho GH, this equation, and if I have to write P by rho G, certainly it will be equals to H. And we always try to measure the pressure in terms of a head. Okay, so this equation will be divided by both sides by rho G. Rho G is basically, and we are talking about water over here, we will divide it with the density of specific weight of the water. Rho G is equals to what? It is specific weight, and P1 minus P2 by specific weight of your water, and on the both sides if you will divide, you will get this kind of equation, because rho b into g will be equals to specific weight of the liquid B. Certainly rho m into g will be equals to the specific weight of the manometric fluid, rho wm. Okay, so this p1 minus p2 by W into W, that is your W is equals to your rho G. So it will be equals to H1 minus H2 if you will use appropriately this formula. So basically the difference in the pressure is certainly measured, as I told you, in terms of the difference in the head. Okay, so difference in the head is basically will be given by this equation. Again, it is a simplified equation, nothing new has been done to this equation. It is the simplified version of this particular equation. So again, we can put the values which will be given to us, and we can get the unknowns, rather the difference in pressure in that case. So this was basically regarding your upright configuration. Similarly, we have another configuration. So this is basically the inverted configuration, wherein the specific gravity of the fluid in a pipe or a container is greater than the manometric fluid. What I mean to say is that the manometric fluid will be lighter in this particular case, and that if it will be lighter, so it will tend to rise, and the specific gravity of the fluids which are to be measured will be more in comparison to the manometric fluid. And again, we will be measuring that the pressure above the, say, at this plane will be equals to, it will be constant, since here we have the different same density fluid, so the pressure will be constant this in this plane. And we will again try to balance the pressure in both the columns, and using the same principle which we have used earlier, and we will ascertain that under equilibrium conditions the pressure over here P1 will be plus the pressure due to this liquid column, this one will be equals to pressure over here plus pressure due to this liquid column plus pressure due to this liquid column. Okay, so P1 plus rho Ag L1 is equals to P2 plus rho B G L2 minus L1 plus PM rho M G into Lm. So on rearranging this equation, we can get P1 minus P2. Okay, and we will get the values. And similarly, if the both the pipes are at the same level, so we can write L1 equals to L2. And certainly if both the pipes have the same density fluid, we can also write that rho A is equals to rho B, as we did in the previous case. And again, if we want to find out the difference in pressure in terms of head, we can write H1 minus H2, and it has already been explained in your previous slide. And basically we'll get this kind of a equation. And similarly, in the previous case, as we have done that, if we want to find out the H1 minus H2, the appropriate values will be given to us, and we will put the appropriate values over here, and we will get your difference in head by using the inverted configuration. So at the last, the important thing is regarding your manometric fluids, the surface tension effects should be minimum. If the surface tension will be there, it will add up, and it will cause some errors in the fluid measurement, pressure measurement. And also there should be less vapor pressure. More if there will be more vapor pressure, the fluid will tend to vaporize, and certainly it will again cause some errors in the pressure measurement. Again, it should have some less viscosity, because less viscosity will be there, less resistance will be there. Also it will have some it should have this low thermal expansion coefficient. So these are basically the properties which should be there in case of your manometric fluids. So regarding your pressure measurement, as I told you, there are other pressure measurement devices also, but the most important measurement device is your manometer. So we have discussed that pressure measuring device in this case, in this slide or in this video, and we will have some numerical problems also on the manometers in the upcoming videos. So these were the references which were taken into consideration. So I thank you very much for watching this video on manometers, and this is basically the second video which we have covered over here. And in the next video, I will try to cover the next objectives, wherein we will take into consideration the pressure which will be acting on a submerged surface, and it can be your inclined surface, or it can be your horizontal, or it can be a vertical surface. So we'll try to analyze the pressure which will be acting on that surface. So for the time being, I thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much.